Well, hello, Just Busters. I hope you enjoyed the first video, the first music theory video. So that was lesson 1.1. Today we're going to look at lesson 1.2. And we're going to look at the musical staff, or the stave. And the staff essentially consists of 5 lines. And so I've got some of these drawn up here. And that's what all of our notes go on to. So we've got either spaces. The first space I've put in a 1, and then the second space I've put in a 2, the third space a 3, the fourth space a 4. And then on the lines I've done 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now your first exercise says identify which of the following notes are on a line and which are on a space. So let's look at this one first. So we're going to put this here. Okay, can you see that? Okay. Okay, so this one and this one. So these are the two that they've done for you. So this one, if we're looking at the spaces, yeah, it's on the second space, so that's on the space. And if we number the lines, the second one is on a line. So have a look at that exercise and see whether they're on a space or whether they are on a line, and that's what it looks like. Is it on a space or is it on a line? Okay, so this one is in the fourth space. So it's on the space, and this one is on the second line, and then we've got one on the third space, and then we've got one on the first line, and we've got one on the fourth line. So that's that one done. So the next exercise, I'll give you a few minutes to do that one. So look at the next exercise down. So, the next exercise. So if we label our spaces and we label our lines, are we on a space or a line? We're on a line. Okay, the next one, space is on the second line. The third one is on a space, and then we've got another space and a line, and a space and a space. I promise you they don't make up any cool words. And the third one, have a look at that. So, if you need to, label your spaces and your lines to help you out a little bit. Okay, so we've got our space, a space, a line, we're in the third space, second line, and the fifth line. Okay, so the next exercise talks about these spaces and lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it asks you to number the lines as shown. So all you have to do is number all the lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'll give you a couple of minutes just to do that. And how did you go with that? That was pretty easy, wasn't it? Okay, so then you've got to label all the spaces as shown. 1, 2, 3, 4. So can you do that for me? Okay, well done. See, I told you you'd be good at this. Okay, so let's look at page 9. It says fill in the missing notes. The first one's done for you. So the first one says draw a note on line 2. So remember, that's our line 2. So we label our lines. And then we number our spaces. Okay, so it says draw a note on space number 4. So we know we've got 1, 2, 3, space number 4 is at space number 4. The next one, draw a line in space number 1. So we look it out and we go 1 here. Draw a note on line 5. So remember, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's that one. Okay, so let's go to the next one down. Draw a note on line number 1. I'm going to work over here. So let's label our lines and label our spaces. So let's have a look. Where is line number 1? It's here. So we put our note there. Draw a note in space number 2. So we've got space number 1, space number 2. Draw a note in space number 3. And then draw a note on line number 3. So we've got 1, 2, 3. Okay, and the last lot on that page says draw a note in space number 4. So we've got space number 1, space number 2, space number 3, this is space number 4. Draw a note in space number 1, which is there. Draw a note on line number 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's our line number 4. And draw a note on line number 5. And that's our line number 5. So with music, you will have noticed that we have our 5 lines, which are not very straight. Okay, we have our 5 lines, so our music looks like this. And there is often something that looks like this in front of it. Okay, so that is called a treble clef. And on page 10, it shows you how to draw a treble clef. Now this is, let me show you how I draw it. So I start at a point, and I go round. Alright, so I make it like I'm going up. Okay, so that's how I do it. But they've got a different example for you, and so I'm going to give you a few minutes to have a go at filling that page up with some treble clefs, okay? And then we're going to get into some note naming recognition. Now I know that many of you look at a note and you can tell me what the finger it is, but now we want to learn what the proper names are. Because it's important that we can speak about notes for names rather than just looking at a note and knowing what fingering it is, alright? It's really important that we know this. So So I'll give you a couple more minutes to work on your treble clefs. My very crooked music stave, my treble clef. Alright. I'm not very good at drawing straight lines. Alright. Particularly in a hurry. Okay. So the first thing that we're going to look at is this. So now we're not going to talk in lines or spaces anymore, we're going to talk about notes. Okay? So if the note is written on line number 1, what do you think it's called? It's called an E. And what we learnt last week is that all the notes start at a letter and they go up. So we know that we have to go up to F, and we go G, A, B, C, D, and here's another E, and we've got another F, okay? So remember, we get to E, and then we start again. So our first note on the line is an E. Our first note in a space is called an F. Now we can actually remember some really cool stuff here. So if we circle the F, and we circle the A, and we circle the C, and we circle the E, that makes up a word for us. Alright? That makes the word face. F-A-C-E. So now, if we circle the E, the G, the B, the D, the F, we get this. E, G, B, D, F. And we want to remember every good boy deserves fudge. Okay, so notice that the treble clef, so when we start our treble clef, always starts where the G's. Alright, always starts on that second line, which is G. And sometimes you'll see it written as a G clef. So, if you ever see a treble clef, alright, starts on the G, or you might see the word G clef, and you'll know what that is. Right, so now let's look at what these notes are. Okay? So, we're going to do some note recognition now. Let's see how you go. Okay, so let's look on the first page of page 12. So they've done the first one for you. Now, remember, you've got F-A-C-E, and every good boy deserves fudge. Now, these are our spaces. So if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, and these are our lines. So the first note that they've given us is on a line, and it's on the third line. So we go across and we go to number 3. So these are lines, spaces. We go across to there, and we find out that it's a B. Okay? So that one's a B. Now, let's look at the next one. So the next one is in a space. So we go to our spaces table, and we go number 1. It's an F. Okay? What about having a go at the next one on your own? So have a look. And what do you think the next one is? It's in the space, it's in the third space. And then we're back to a line. And that's your first one done. All right, have a go at the second one for me, okay? Just have a go and then we'll go through and see the answers. Okay, so how did you go? I think you're doing really well with these. So let's have a look. So our first note is on the line 1, 2, 3, 4. It's on the fourth line and it's a D. Okay, so the way that you can draw up this table each time, but the way that I tend to remember is I go, every good boy deserves, that's a D. Every good, that's a G. Every good boy deserves fudge. F-A-C-E. F-A. That's how I remember it. So I count up the lines. And what you'll find is that you'll get to a point where you'll look at the note and you'll go, that's a G. Okay, so let's look at the third line down. Okay. Alright, so this one is an A, we've got a C and an E, a D and a B. Okay, so we've got two more lots to go here. I'm sorry, I'm left-handed. Okay, so the next one down. Can you remember what it was? So we've got this one and this one. So we've got spaces and lines again. So we've got, we count it up. F-A-C-E, every good boy deserves fudge, A-C. Okay, and the last one on this page, there's a lot of exercises today in this lesson that we've got to work through. Okay, I'm sorry that I'm in the way. Okay, so we've got B, E, F, C, and G. How did you go with those? So the next one is now, they've written the notes and they want you to place them. So I'm not going to do all of those on this because otherwise we'll be here all night. But I just want you to have an understanding of how all of this works. Now, it says, draw the following notes on the staff. Now, the first note they give you is E. Now, if we look over here, we actually have two E's. So, it says, do an E. So we can either have that E, or we can have that E. If that's correct. The next note they've given us is a B. Every good boy. Every good boy deserves fruit. F-A-C and F-A. That's the first line. Okay, the second line says D. Okay, so our D. So we want to put D on the fourth space. Then we've got a C and a G and a B and an F. Have a go at the third and fourth lines on your own, and then we'll have a look at those. So some of these you've already done. So the next line says B, well you've done a B and you've done an F, you've done an A, you've done an E, and you've done a D. So you try and work on all of that on your own. I'll give you a few minutes to do that. Now we're going to get really, really tricky because lines just don't go above the stave, they go below. They don't stay in the stave, they go above and below the stave. So page 14 says, remember that ladder exercise? As you went down the steps of the ladder, you continued the pattern of letters in the music alphabet. In the same way, notes can be written above or below using ledger lines. So if we start here, we know that that's an F, then we've got G, and then we've got A, then we've got B, then we've got C, and then we've got D. Okay, and then we go downwards. C, that's B, A, and G. Okay, so it says name the following notes on the treble staves. So these are all the notes that are here. So the first note on that treble stave is this one. And so what is that one? That one is a G. Then the next one, which we know, the next one is sitting here. And we know that it's on the fourth line, and we know that that is a D. Okay? And then right after that is another D, which is below the stave. See, that's that one. So we've got D written here, here, and here. It's pretty cool, eh? Have a look at that. D written in 3 different places at the moment. Okay, then the next one that they've got there is this one here, which is an A. Then the next note, which is what they've done, is an A, and we know that that's in the ledger lines. So we know that that's an A as well. Then we've got our C, and then we've got a note that's down here, which is our B. And on the next line down, on page 14, we've started our C. Then we've got a B, which is here. And then we go to our A. Then we go up to our D, our B, and then F, our normal F, our space F, and then our C. So page 15 says, write the following notes on the treble clef. Write at least 2 notes above the stave, and write at least 2 notes using ledger lines below, and 2 notes using ledger lines above. Wow. 4, 5. My really badly drawn music stave. So the first one, it says E. So we know we can have an E there, or we can have an E there. B can be there, or there. F can be there, or there. C can be there, or there. And A, C, B can be there, or there. Okay? The next one down, D, can be there or there. F, E, A, and G. Okay, and now that all the notes are there, you can fill in the last one on your own. How are you feeling? Is your brain hurting yet? Because like mine's really, really funny. So let's have a look at this last one that you've done on your own to see how you've gone, okay? So we've got C. It can be here or here. A can be here. Can be here, here, or here. We've got 3 locations for A. B can be here, here, or here. F and E. Or E. This was a really long video. So remember that music is written on 5 lines, 4 spaces, and that's called a staff or a stave. Okay, and the notes can be written on lines or they can be written on the spaces. The treble clef, which we've got over here, let me just turn it again. Treble clef starts on the line where the G starts. Starts here, always. Okay? And it's also called a G clef. The notes on the 5 lines, every good boy deserves fudge, and in the spaces is F-A-C-E. Ledger lines are used to write notes higher and lower than the 5 notes on the stave. So that is all about the treble clef. Well, next week we're going to learn all about the bass. All about the bass, all about the bass, no treble. About the bass clef. Okay, so now we're getting into stuff that's different and new and exciting. So until next week, keep safe, wash your hands, keep practicing, check out the YouTube channel for some cool stuff. All right, and I'll see you again.